Blog Talk Radio.
We welcome the night. Oasis, a radio show where we discuss all the latest movies and news from the world of horror. Currently waiting on Ian. It might be another one of those episodes where things might not be working out on his side. Plus, I'm having some technical problems with the computer. Every so often, it just wants to shut down. And it did that a little bit. I was worried there for a second. But we're here. Well, I'm here. And we are going to continue on our Halloween Grab Bag Marathon with a special Boneyard review. And if Ian gets in here, it'd be an interesting show to have him discuss this with, because I always love going back and forth with the Boneyard reviews. And if none else, I can always postpone and remake the show. Let me make sure everything's all right here. If not, I'll just go ahead and do the show willy-nilly. But yeah, the Halloween Grab Bag Marathon, it's been a pretty eventful couple of shows here recently, and I decided to change it up a bit this week and throw in a Boneyard, because I had one that kind of fit, given that the film takes place around October. It's not exactly Halloween themed, and that was kind of worrying me. And then something happened in the movie where that was taken care of, and my worries were put away. But we'll get to that here shortly. So, The Diary Killings is the movie, and you might be wondering, again, with the Boneyards, if you've not heard these before, it's a thing where I find these obscure, lost-to-time horror films that are regional, very small quantities, or possibly made or exist. And this is another one where it's just happenstance that I managed to find it on eBay, as per usual, and it was priced relatively good, and I snagged it up because, of course, I want this. This was released in 2007, and again, it's another one where there's not enough information about it. The only thing I could possibly find was a news article from 2007 from a news affiliate around the area it was filmed in Mississippi, where the director Richard Collins was talking about it. And again, it's not even a paragraph long. It's just 4 sentences basically, just talking about how the film was made, the people involved, no budget, and like the release of the DVD in July 20, 2007, and trying to get it into film festivals. But that was it. There's nothing else. So it's just one of those films where it was shot and just kind of under the radar, as per usual with these things. And I couldn't have, again, we watched it, and again, that's the backstory. That's the most I can give you because there's hardly anything else that exists on the film. And so let's get into the diary killings. And if Ian calls in as I'm doing this, I'll bring him on as well. So the diary killings is, man, it kind of surprised me, but we'll get into that. So it takes place around 2005, because again, this was shot in 2007, released in 2007. So it's taking place after Hurricane Katrina, and we have a few intersecting storylines, and I'll get into how they converge a little bit later on. But we have, Kimberly Collins, and she is the lone survivor of the killings that happened from Daniel Harper in 2000, basically. And she is the lone survivor of her friends being killed. And there's this another girl, her name is Kathleen, and she wants to do a documentary or just a piece on Kimberly about what happened during the murders. Of course, Kimberly doesn't want to talk about it. There's really not that much. And apparently Kathleen knows that there's this diary that has not been found, and she wants to go and find it. And that is one storyline. And then the other story, plot point, is Harley Harper, the brother of Daniel. And he is now the leader of the Brotherhood that Daniel had run before being killed off. And he wants to basically bring his brother back from the dead. And he has all these things planned out. And he's like, we need to unearth his body from the grave. And he hires a couple people, like $1,000. You can go and unearth my brother's body. Leave the mask on him and just leave him the way he is. And at that same time that they're unearthing and uncovering his body, it's buried. It has chains wrapped around the coffin. Really, it's just a wooden box. And at this same time, Kathleen, who has found the book, the diary, and wants to perform a seance. And so she does that. She gets a group of girls, friends, together, and they perform this seance, which brings Daniel back from the dead. And here's the thing with Daniel. And this is the one that kind of like, well, I'm worried that this is not going to be Halloween-related. I mean, yes, it takes place in October, but again, films can take place in October and not be Halloween-related. And so we're introduced to Daniel, who is full-on Michael Myers blue jumpsuit and a Michael Myers mask and hair. But here's the thing. Where he's been dead and in this wooden box for how many years. He basically looks like Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th and New Blood, where he has these open wounds on his chest and showing his rib cage. His spine is showing. And then, of course, he looks like Michael Myers, but he looks like Halloween 4 Michael Myers a little bit. He's sort of thin. But he also, again, with the way that the mask is, where it's rotting and deteriorating, and sort of, I guess where he was set on fire or something, he looks like Michael Myers from Halloween Kills. So throughout the whole movie, you're just seeing this, like, burnt to a crisp, almost rotting Michael Myers corpse. And it's a very intriguing watch, to say the least, because, like, they're doing all this stuff, and they're doing it, what, honestly, better they did with, like, Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. And this is 24 years prior. I mean, the look of it and everything, yeah, it's very cheaply made, and, again, no budget hardly. And the acting is what it is. Very, by the cuff acting, ad-libbed. There's a lot of flubs where they kind of get tongue-tied, slip over the lines. But again, that's the gist of the movie, is where now that Daniel is awakened from his slumber in the ground, he is back to kill, and he goes on a killing spree. And we have, again, a few other converging storylines that involve Kimberly and Kathleen and Harley, and then there's more cult members, and then later on in the last, I want to say, 40 minutes, there's a group of teens going to this junkyard, and again, they're and the cult members that's wanting the videotape because they recorded everything that has happened, and it just goes on from there. And here's the thing: I kind of like the movie. It's one of those where, yeah, it has obvious flaws and setbacks, and where it was filmed, again, I'm assuming 2006, 2007, somewhere in that time frame. Video equipment wasn't all up to par that well. I was hearkening back to other films like Hellinger, where it's just like that shoddy, very dark at nighttime scenes. There's like no lights hardly, a lot of shadow usage, and again, it could use an upgrade, but again, it's so unknown, and again, I don't even know if the director is still alive, because there's no information, that it's hard to probably get that. And I do think, honestly, if you like the fan films, of like Halloween fan films, it has that flair to it, because again, the killer, I mean, it's a different person, Daniel Harper, but he looks like Michael Myers. And that's the thing, where it's just like, it's almost like a fan film, and it's like a pretty decent one at that. I mean, yeah, obvious flaws. I mean, what fan film doesn't have flaws? But it's not a fan film. It's a completely different movie, but it has, the killer looks similar. It's like another one that came out around that time, Harvest of Fear, where it had basically just Michael Myers mask on a killer. It's like, oh, this is basically Halloween, which it was. And this one is exactly like that. It's like very, very much gorier. So it's like on par with like what they tried to do with Halloween Kills. And like there's parts where like he chops off a girl's leg. He's eating parts of her leg. He uses a chainsaw to attack people. A lot of stabbing, impalements. All the while, people are trying to dim and figure out what's going on. And that's the thing as well, is like it's kind of all over the place with its narrative. I mean, it's as straightforward as it is, with Kimberly wanting to put an end to Daniel. it's kind of choppy and goes from narrative to narrative in a quick time frame. So you have the scenes where like they're digging up Daniel's corpse, and it like, oh look, here's the grave, we found it, and then it cuts to Kathleen doing the seance, and then you're there for 20, 30 seconds, and then it cuts back. So it's these quick edits back and forth. So it doesn't really have time to breathe, where it should like linger on more with like uncovering the grave, give that like a couple minutes, and then back and forth instead of these quick edits. It's like when you back in the day when you could listen to 30-minute snippet of songs at like Walmart or FYE or Sam Goody, and you can scan the barcode and it gives you those 30 seconds, 3 songs each, and like get you into it. It's like that, but like back and forth. Like, Jesus, let me have a second. As soon as you start getting into it, they switch it. So it's similar to that, and that's kind of like one of my main detriments with the film is just there's not that much. I mean, like I said, it's not a bad film. I mean, for what it is and for as obscure as it is, it's still a fun little movie, and I really had fun with it. And I just, again, it's just like, for what it is and the limitations that the film had, I mean, there's a lot of heart to it. I mean, at points it does start to drag on. Like towards the end, it kind of loses focus a little with with the other characters getting introduced. I mean, of course, they don't stay that long because they do get killed off rather quickly by Daniel. And like I said, a lot of impalements and dismemberments and stuff like that. And again, of course, the cult members trying to find the videotape, and like the teenagers that show up at the junkyard, they find the tape, and then like they're getting chased at. And again, it feels like they kind of lost focus towards the end because it kind of keeps going, and like the film's going and going, and then it just ends with a black screen with a word, a text crawl basically, and it kind of just like, as Ian would put it, it kind of blue balls you in a way, and it kind of just like left me like, because the story's still going. Like one of the cult members is after Daniel, and like Daniel's still killing people, and he's doing his thing, and he looks after trying to find the cult member, and then it just black screens, and like, man, they needed to keep that going, or I wouldn't say really tighten it up, but like the narrative just kind of loses its focus pretty quickly towards the end there. And again, I had okay time with it. I didn't have too many issues with it because it was actually kind of fun, because I do like some of the fan film stuff with like Jason and Friday the 13th, and I'm looking forward to Ian's calling in here shortly. He just messaged me, so we'll get his takes on the film here shortly as well. And let me tell him. Get him on the show real quick. But yeah, like I said, it just it had issues. It had its low budget qualms about it, but I didn't mind it. And for Boneyards, I mean, it definitely does stand out as one of the better ones with its issues. And sorry about the silence. Taking care of Ian there. So yeah, I mean, it is one of those where I do wish there was more ways for it to get noticed, because I do think there's an audience for this one, and I do think for the people that like the fan films, and stuff of that nature. Never Hike Alone. There's another one, Haddonfield. All those Halloween fan films. But again, it's not a fan film. I mean, it has the killer that you would see in a fan film, but it's a completely different entity, Daniel Harper. It's like again, me and my pulling things out of a hat, but like there's the film The Appearing, and they used the Psycho House, and it's like it's hard not to like think of the Psycho House when they're actually showing the outside of it. Like, that's just the Psycho House, and you want me to think of a different place that was haunted years prior, and like, no, it's the Psycho House. So it's like you can see something different, but you're still thinking the same thing. And again, I was like, I'm seeing Michael Myers from all these different films and thinking of Jason Voorhees from The New Blood, and it's like, no, it's Daniel Harper. It's kind of funny. Again, 24 years later, prior, my bad, and they managed to make something actually better, in my opinion, than both Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends, given its nature, that everything that went into it. But again, because it is kind of fun. It has its charm. And I would recommend it if you could find it. But again, it's one of those, and it's the reason it's on the Boneyard, is because it's just no one, it's unheard of, it's unknown, and it's obscure and I hate that it is, because it is one of those, like, again, technical problems, issues aside, audio issues, flubs. That's another thing. Like, they could have, with the seance scene and the going back and forth, there's a scene where the Kathleen does flub over her line, and I'm assuming it's all in one. Everything was like in one continuous take, and I feel that like they could have still, with going back and forth, like they could have just like paused for a while and like redone the line instead of like having the girl flub over her line mid-sentence. And we do have Ian on. Ian, how are you, buddy?
It's been a rough 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I came, like, jerked awake, and I guess I was having a nightmare or something, and I looked over at my phone. It's like, oh, God, I fell asleep. I was like, oh, no. But I'm alive now.
Yeah. Again, it was right at the minute, like, everything was happening. Like, I should just postpone this, but I already had everything set and ready, and, I already called in. You can't really do anything once you already called in. And I was like, fuck, But nonetheless, you're here, and I know how it is. I should be in bed now, too, but things happen. But, again, like I was going on, I know you probably haven't heard most of what I was talking about, but, like, again, I liked what the film was, and, again, I was bringing up how, I don't know how far you managed to make it, but I was bringing up the scene pretty early on with the seance, and they were digging up Daniel's grave, and she flubbed over her line. And, like, the continuation, like, if it was one continuous take, they could have just, like, paused and, like, because it's edited, how chaotic and sort of, like, jumpy it is, just, like, quick edit. And if they did it that way, like, he could have just done, the director could have just, like, edited that take out and just, like, continued on without the flub. But, again, maybe he wasn't thinking, because, again, this is, who knows what's in your head when trying to make this on a no budget as it is, and
no time,
and it just seemed, because again, like they use garbage bags as like the black walls, and it's very like constraining, and it just seems like there was like a lot on him with like just writing it out there, and it kind of like, again, it's just very hectic in its editing styles, and it just, like I said earlier when you weren't here, like it didn't really give room for things to breathe. And again, I'll mention it again because you weren't here, is like when you go to like Walmart and you could listen to CDs, and they give you like the 30 seconds of a song, of 3 songs, so you go back and forth. So like you get going in one story, and then it just quick edits to the other and goes back to the other, and so it's like, hey, we found the gravesite, awesome, and then it cuts back to Kathleen doing the seance, and then it cuts back to the grave. And they do that later on in the film as well with the junkyard and Daniel killing people and going back from that to Kimberly trying to find someone, and then the Klans people trying to get the video camera, and it's just like all these quick cuts. And it just, I mean, it's like I said, I didn't mind the film. It was actually pretty, for what it was actually pretty good. I mean, I mentioned it's like one of the fan films, like Halloween fan films, and because once again, I mentioned it before, but you weren't here. But once you get the reveal of Daniel, and it looks like that, where it's fucking Michael Myers, and it's not Michael Myers. It's just like, yeah, this is a weird pill to swallow, but I kind of had fun with it in that weird way. But I don't know how much have you seen, Ian, but if you want to give your initial thoughts on what you have seen, that's good enough, and then maybe you can go back next week and after you finish it maybe and give your full opinion.
I'm definitely going to be able to do that. I got to the second video. It was weird, too. Like, I got to the second, like, to the almost halfway through it, and but the initial in the beginning was, I was actually really interested in it, because I could tell they were putting their A game with what they had, and for like the melted, I wasn't expecting like a melted the face and stuff. I was like, oh, this has actually got like, they're trying with effects and stuff. I was pretty, it's better than just like the pale makeup and stuff that we sometimes see with these kind of things. So, like, they actually. I was saying, I don't know if you heard it. Again, I'm repeating myself here, and I'm sorry for those that's listening from the beginning. But it's like they managed to pull off Michael Myers from Halloween Kills 20 years prior, and like he looks like Jason Voorhees from The New Blood. And it's crazy how like all this stuff, like he has a chainsaw in one scene later on, which I liked, and it's just like they're doing everything. They're throwing all the horror villains into one basket, And even though he looks like Michael Myers, they're going to put his look from The New Blood in there, and he's going to give him Leatherface's chainsaw. But go ahead, Ian. I didn't mean to cut you off. Oh no, you're fine. You're absolutely fine. My perspective is a little skewed right now, but yeah, no, it from like what I could tell, like I mean, the chaos was. I kept like, like where are we going? Where are we going with this? Here we are. There we are. What's going on? But yeah, it was. It seemed like it was going to be really good. I was actually really getting into it. That's what happens when you go into work at 5 a.m. But, I honestly, the video looked great. And, it was a little grainy, and it was probably shot on, like, a cell phone or something. But, hey.
Yeah, this being 2006, 2007 when it was filmed, I mean, you're looking at, like, the best you could get quality at that time. This isn't, this is that era. This isn't how we have it now with, how cell phones are 1080p and shit. This is mid-thousands, and you do with what you have, This is this is rough era, But again, it doesn't do that bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it is dark in a few instances, and like I said, it could use an upgrade. But again, I mentioned it earlier. You don't know if the director's dead or not. You never know with these people. These films, and it could. But again, the film quality and the elements, you don't know what happened to that either. So it's all an amalgamation of just like this is probably the best it's going to be.
But considering the fact that like this is an older film,
Mhm.
And it still looks pretty decent. We've seen newer films that didn't look as good. So, like,
yeah,
they really, what I want to say, like, no, I didn't finish the film, but I can, like, I feel like they did put their 100%, like, put everything they had into this. This was a very much a full passion project. Like, they put everything they had into it and used what they had, and it was like, they just, look, we got it. We got this. We want to go for this look. Doesn't matter if it looks meh or not, like, it's just okay, but, like, this is, we're going to do with what we have, and we're going to make the best movie we can make out of it.
Yeah,
and
again, once you finish it, because you'll see that they kind of do that. I mean, it kind of loses a little bit of focus towards the end because it kind of does get jumbled with the storylines that they introduce and the teens out of nowhere that come to the junkyard just before a warning, and the cult members going after the video camera.
Right.
And then Kimberly just disappears at some point, and again, a lot of things. They kind of lose focus towards the end, but like you said, for what they did and for what we've seen previously, and especially on previous Boneyards, this to me this felt better than, say, One Ad and Woodstock Holiday and like the slasher films that we've discussed in the Boneyard reviews.
Oh yeah.
Because this one just it felt like they knew what they were going, but again, you gotta go with limitations, and like the story made sense, wanting your dead brother who ran the cult back from the dead. I mean, that part was kind of iffy. Like, that thing's just like, again, it didn't give enough room to breathe. Like, hey, she found the diary. Like, how do you know she found the diary? There's like a few things where it's just like they didn't really give enough time to let it breathe,
right? Because
of the way it was edited. And that's like kind of my main detriment, is just that editing style is just like nothing. Again, we say like cut it down, but this one just felt like it needed like 30 seconds to continue on the scene and not just abruptly end it to the next scene and then going back and forth. It's like that anthology film, A Christmas Horror Story, where you're getting, you're invested in one story and then it just cuts to the next anthology segment, and then it goes to the next one, and then it goes back to the first one. And so that's how it felt with this one as well, where it's like you're getting, like certain storylines are going, and then like, oh, we're on to the next one. Like, oh, we're back to that one now. So it's just like, that's the only gripe I really have with the film, because there is decent gore. I mean, a girl gets, again, I'm saying, a girl gets her leg chopped off, there's impalements, and the look of Daniel is pretty cool, even though it is fucking Michael Myers. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, it's fucking Michael Myers. But I liked it for what they were going for. And, again, it's a low-budget feature, no money, no actors. It's like just doing it, as vendors, basically. Just like, come do this whenever you can idea. So, it's one of those where it's just like they worked within their means to make a decent little slasher movie and throwing all the films that he liked in there, the slasher films, and it's definitely better than some recent slasher films as well, because I told you last week I've been on, a slasher kick, and like I said, I liked it in that weird fan film sort of way, even though it's not.
Yeah.
It has a weirdness to it, and it's just, it's kind of hard to describe unless you watch it. It's just like you can't really understand it, with descriptions, because like you have to see the way that it's presented. And again, that's like with most Boneyard reviews, but this one's definitely one of those where it's like I said, it really brought up like moments of like One Ad, where it's like, it's because it's in like a house location and going back and forth, and But at least like this one's like the narrative, sort of made sense. Like, oh, we're going to go to the house to buy a computer. Okay. This one, well, they're going to the house, they're going to find the diary, and then they're going to summon the dead brother back to life, and he's going to go on a murder spree instead of special needs brother in the shed. But I digress. Ian, I know you haven't finished it, and hopefully next episode you'll be able to give your brief. I wouldn't say brief, but maybe we'll start off the episode and go five or so minutes before into the next Halloween grab bag review. But like I said, this one's pretty good for what it's trying to achieve. And again, like I said earlier before you were on here, it harkens back to those early early thousands Sub Rosa movies where it's just like shot on a camcorder. The darkness just engulfs the whole film, but it's definitely like those early thousands, mid-thousands slashers, and definitely better than some of them. Like I said, Harvest of Fear, Path of Evil, those use the same Michael Myers mask too. I mentioned those, but definitely it's way better than those, and it has a lot of, it's again, the pacing, like I said, without the choppiness, again, I still thought it had a decent pace because it's like kept things moving forward. Where they found the diary, he's back from the dead. Now Kimberly wants to get revenge on Daniel, and Daniel's coming back from killing all these people, and then Daniel's going after his own brother who brought him back from who wants him back as the leader of the cult. And then, he's going after certain other people, and then the teenagers show up in the junkyard, and then there's the cult wanting the camera because they have the footage of the murders or something. I'm not exactly sure what was on the video camera. Maybe the seance. But these kept things moving forward. And again, it kind of limps out at the end, but nonetheless, I mean, it's still, I was just saying, this is kind of slapping in parts because it was just the way, again, you're watching a guy portray Michael Myers, but it's not Michael Myers, and he's doing all the mannerisms and walking, the head tilting, and just the shoulder and the arm movements, and he's just going around, murdering people, and rather, again, some gory ways. I mean, the impalements and he's eating parts of the people. When he chops the leg off, he eats parts of it, or he tries to, but he can't get it through his mask. And again, the look of it is pretty cool, and it predates Halloween Kills, and how it looks, because that exactly is how Michael Myers looks in Halloween Kills, without the Jason Voorhees chest and the new blood. But again, I've kind of rambled on and went on and repeated myself a few times, and I'm sorry for those who listened to from the beginning, but I had to, again, get Ian's take and repeat myself a few times, so I do apologize. So I do appreciate those who have made it this far and have appreciated the rambling and going over a few things. But Ian, I think that's all we can do. Hopefully next week we'll get more of your thoughts, as I've mentioned, and I'm looking forward to it because I want to know everything that your take on everything is. And
this is definitely one of those I would like to finish. This is definitely one thing I would like to finish because, of how especially how much they effort they put into it, and I really appreciate that. It's been a while since I've seen a movie that I was like, man, this is they put their heart and soul into this. They did what they could with what they had, and this is perfect. This is great for that. So I definitely want to, they put that much effort into it. I definitely I'll definitely have it finished.
Yeah. So that'll be on the next episode. We'll have Ian's thoughts on the diary killings. That'll probably start off the show a little bit because, of course, we'll probably want to go back and forth and, pinpoint everything and get it down to a science before going on to our next Halloween grab bag movie, which, again, will be discussed on that show. We don't know yet, but that's how these grab bags go. So, Ian, as always, it's great. Still, you came in late, but still, it's always great talking with you. And
oh yeah,
I'll be doing some things this weekend. I'll try to get the word out there, because that's what I always do when I go to some events. So hopefully I get the word out and get some more people interested in the show, and some more films to come on future episodes. Who knows? Any spotlights, interviews. It's what I do at events, big events. But nonetheless, Ian, as always, take care of my buddy. And everyone listening, again, I appreciate if you stuck through from the beginning, I appreciate all the rambling and repeating. So without further ado, it's time to end this. So thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time on Horror Not Oasis.
Good night.